Hello everyone, just want to quickly say we're so close to 100,000 subs, so hit that sub button if you haven't already. You guys are all absolutely incredible, and enjoy the video. So Rainbow Six Siege recently has been on a little streak of releasing extremely strong and very useful defenders in comparison to good but not as strong attackers. And in an already defender-sided game by default, that's just how the game will always be, it has led us to be in a little bit of a defender meta. If you want to compare the last 4 defenders we got, Azami, Solus, Fenrir, and Tubarão, to the last 4 attackers we got, Sense, Grim, Brava, and Ram, it's clear which side is stronger. Now, I will say, I do think Brava, Ram, and Grim are all very great attackers. Sense, as much as I do think they have a place in this game, it is really hard to use them, and a lot of the time I'm just not going to pick them over another operator, but I understand what Ubisoft were going for with Sense. But I think there's something major which Ubisoft are missing out when making their attackers in this game, and that is deeply meta and map-changing operators, a design philosophy which has been given to the defensive team multiple times. The first major defender in this game to have a deeply meta-changing gadget which could completely change every single bomb site on any map was Mira. Mira is still getting nerfs to this day. She literally just got a nerf this season in which Kali's gadget and Ash's gadget can shatter her Mira's glass when shot directly at it. Mira can completely reshape an entire bomb site purely with one Mira window. And I don't think people really realize enough how strong Mira truly is. And after Mira released, we would still get tons of incredible defenders added to the game, but none which were on the caliber of Mira until Operation Demon Veil, in which Azami released. When Azami was being developed, they had Mira in mind. Not Mira's gadget, but the way that Mira changed the game. The impact she had on the meta, the impact she had on how you can play bomb sites. They wanted to do that again. I'm not just theorizing, those were Ubisoft's words themselves. And they did it. Azami can completely reshape bomb sites, cut off angles which were never even possible to cut off before, making thousands of different positions on every map viable, which before would have been way too dangerous for a defender to play in. Ubisoft got exactly what they wanted out of Azami, and they're very proud of it, and I think they should be. I think operators like Azami coming into this game, especially she came in year 7, is really interesting to have operators which can pretty much shake up the entire game, even this far into it. And now taking a look at Azami and Mira, the 2 major things which made them meta-shaking, map-changing operators, which can be placed above all the rest, was their influence on maps themselves. Both of them make certain objectives, rooms, bomb sites, angles, positions, way more viable than they used to before, allowing every other defender to play off on top of that. When a mirror window or a Kiba barrier allows access to a certain room to be held by defenders, that means more defenders can play in that room. You can bring a legion in there, you can bring a castle in there. It changes everything. And I think a core fundamental issue with the attacking side is that we've not had an attacker like that pretty much ever. You can maybe say Ram is close to that because she can open up a bunch of soft floors quite easily, and yeah, I guess. But no one on the caliber of Azami and Mira. Thatcher is an incredible attacker, however, he doesn't really influence the map. He's more anti-gadget. So, taking a look at the reasons why Mira and Azami are so influential in this game, because of the impact they have on changing map design pretty much, I think it's time we get an attacker which can change up every single map with their gadget. I am proposing an attacker with a gadget, when placed on a soft floor, will drill through the floor, cut through the metal beams, and make their own hatch. You take site control above a bomb site, you place this gadget down anywhere where there's a soft floor, you can create your own hatch and drop into site. I'm going to be using gameplay from the Grand Larceny event in the background because if you don't know, this event had no metal beams in the floor, showing a little bit of a concept I'm talking about here. Of course, not to this crazy extent where you can just shoot through the floors, but it gives you an idea of what it's like to be able to make holes in the floor which you can fall through anywhere on the map. And I know that concept alone sounds overpowered. Is that necessarily a bad thing? Who knows? But there'll also be ways to counter this and play off of it and synergize on both sides. For starters, we could have some basic counters. A nitro cell will easily explode it whilst it's doing its detonation period of cutting through the floor. You could even extend that to impact grenades as well, so defenders have a little bit of a fighting chance against it. Heck, we got Tubarão this season. You could use him to completely freeze a detonation and slow down the opening of this hatch. Aruni could maybe place one of her laser gates on it once it is deployed, although it would be a bit risky. That could slow down the push once this new hatch is made. You could also bring Azami once again to cut off all the line of sights which are made by this hatch, even block it off if you wanted to. As overpowered as this attacking gadget sounds, defense is already well equipped to deal with something like this, and I think we need to start getting these broken OP attackers because we can't keep giving it to the defensive team. If we're going to be giving defense all these extremely strong gadgets, then at least give the attackers something these defenders can use it on. Attack really just need a meta-changing operator like this. Of course, you could synergize this really well with an Amaru. You make one of these holes in the floor, Amaru drops down, goes for a plant, flies back up this hole, you hold it from vertical. A counter to this could be Oryx as well. He could easily use these hatches against you. You take vertical control of the site, you make one of these holes for later in the round. You're not watching it correctly, Oryx jumps up and gets an easy flank on you. And this attacker would be able to make probably 2 hatches at most. The operator menu in this game has showed that there is 28 more operators coming in this game at least. 14 on both sides. If that is the case, then we need an attacker like this. It doesn't even have to be my concept. I've always wanted an attacker that can make his own hatches. I've never denied that that wouldn't have been very strong. However, defense, especially now, is perfectly well suited to deal with an attacker like that. Just take a minute to think of all the unique strategies you could pull off with this. Let's say you go for a plant on half wall on Chalet upstairs office wall. You plant a diffuser, then you make a hole beside the diffuser and drop down and hold the diffuser from below. Kitchen hatch on bottom floor clubhouse, for example. Open up the default hatch, make another hatch at the back of armory, and go for a duo drop and go for a plant. The only issue I can see coming from an operator like this is that people will then just decide not to go for default hatches, and defenders will just decide not to reinforce default hatches if attackers can make their own. But I don't think that will always necessarily be the case, as is shown time and time again when we see operators before we actually play them. If you decide not to bring any equipment to go for default hatches, you're solely relying on one of your teammates to remain alive to then make those hatches. As well as this, you have to worry about them not being countered. You could bring this new operator as well as someone else to open hatches and open up a bunch. Very viable strat, especially since opening hatches now is very hard since you have Kaid and Tubarao now. But you're still definitely going to want to try and open up default hatches if this new attacker can be countered by something as simple as impact grenades. You know, impact tricking hatches is possible, but it's not viable on every single hatch. But with this new attacker, since you can only place it on soft floors, you'll be able to impact trick it 100% of the time, lowering the success rate of this gadget's deployment. And as well as this, a lot of hatches on the maps themselves are in areas where there's not soft floors. We'll take Moto hatch, for example, on bottom floor clubhouse. You can't play vertical there. The only thing you can do is open that hatch. So it is still going to make opening hatches a necessity for a lot of attacks, and it's not going to eliminate the fact that default hatches still exist in this game. It's just going to have an alternative option now, which Siege has always been about. Regardless if you agree with my concept or not, attack needs an operator on the caliber of Mura and Azami, and when I think of an attacker which is on that caliber, I think of one like this. I genuinely cannot think of any operators this would make obsolete. Like I was saying, this still keeps default hatches relevant as well, and I definitely think if this operator was ever added to the attacking side, we would see attacks play out completely different. Defenders would have to change and adapt to this playstyle as well, and I just think it'd be very interesting. Every time there's a major meta change these days, it's because it's a defender. We need attackers to have a big change as well. And I think this gadget of an attacker being able to make their own hatches aligns with Siege's values way more than operators such as Lion did when they came out, because he was an attacker which changed the meta, especially for the attacking team. However, that was in a very bad way. It was basically wall hacks. However, this operator requires time, it's quite dangerous, you can synergize with other operators, and it's a lot more tactical. As you already know when you open up hatches which already exist in this game, just because that hatch is open doesn't mean you have a freebie into sight. There is still danger of dropping it. So everyone, that was a concept I have been sitting on for a very long time. I may have brought this up a few times on stream, but it's definitely my most anticipated attacker for Rainbow Six Siege. If they ever asked me what attacker I would like in the game, it would be this one. I don't know, you may heavily disagree with this concept, that's fine, but I think when we already have operators such as like Fenrir, Azami, Solace on defense which change everything, then at this point, what is stopping attack having something like this? So I'm going to extend the question out to you as a viewer. What attacker would you like to see in Rainbow Six Siege, which is meta changing to the extent of Mira and Azami? I'm not talking, oh, I want an attacker which has a drone which can crawl around or something like that. No, I'm talking about an attacker which changes everything. Like, you pick this attacker, it's a completely different sight execute. But as always, be sure to let me your thoughts in the comment section below. Drop a like on this video if you did enjoy. Subscribe if you're new. I shall catch you all later. Have an incredible rest of your day. I love you all. Stay safe. Peace.